This is the CBS Evening News. Dan Rather reporting. Good evening. The hijacking of a Kuwaiti airliner ended today with a secret deal in Algiers that freed the 31 hostages and the Arab gunman who held them in terror for more than 2 weeks. The end of the ordeal and the secret deal set off a celebration in Kuwait where the government had refused to meet the hijackers' demand to release 17 terrorists from Kuwaiti prisons. But U.S. officials said they were upset that the hijackers, who murdered 2 of their hostages, apparently will go scot-free. Bill McLaughlin begins our report.
The Kuwaiti jumbo jet was in the 15th day of its ordeal last night when, suddenly, the lights went out. A deal to free the hostages had been cut. The terrorists agreed to free the hostages, they said, for the sake of humanity and Islam. Algerian sources told CBS News that they had argued that the taking of hostages was an insult to the Muslim religion. That won the day. Just before dawn, the terrorists were allowed to get off the plane and were sent on their way either to Beirut or Iran. Dawn of the 16th day brought freedom. The hostages and crew began to disembark, weary and exhausted, but still managing to wave and smile. Most of the ex-hostages were too exhausted to talk about the hell they had endured. Most passengers went to the Kuwaiti embassy, but a few required medical checkups and treatment. It's expected that all will go home tomorrow. Kuwait's top hostage negotiator also headed home, clearly too relieved that his people were safe to care about what had happened to the hijackers.
Where are the hijackers now, sir?
I don't know, I have no idea.
Are they still in Algeria?
Okay.
The hostages are free, but so are the terrorists, free to kill again. While it is true that the Algerian government gave the terrorists safe passage out of Algeria, there's no controversy about that decision here. Algerian and Kuwaiti officials, along with Western embassy sources, all agree that is simply the price that had to be paid to save the lives of the hostages. Bill McLaughlin, CBS News, at Algiers Airport.
They danced in the normally subdued streets of Kuwait City when news of the hostages' release hit town. It was partly a celebration for the safety of their countrymen, partly relief that Kuwait's ordeal was over too.
It was a test and we passed this test.
The families and friends of the former hostages passed the test too. Some were moved to tears. Faisal and Jari had a son on the plane.
Very happy now.
Sonia Yusuf, the pilot's wife, was glued to the TV when her husband finally appeared.
He looks completely different with his beard. Can we take him out of the TV?
But even as the sense of relief flowed through Kuwait, questions were being asked about just what deal had been made. An official statement said the 17 terrorist prisoners held here would not be released as the hijackers wanted, though not everyone agreed the hijackers should be let go.
They have to kill them. And kill them in a free place. Everybody see that.
In a public place?
Yes, public places.
There was admiration for the Kuwaiti stance around the world.
These people were not only hijackers, they are also murderers. Let's not forget that.
Kuwait won, civilized people won, and terrorism lost again.
But there were reservations too. Who won and who lost? The members of Kuwait's ruling family, who had 3 relatives on the plane, were declaring victory as they celebrated tonight.
At least we did something that no other country had did it before. And that's a big thing.
Still celebrating tonight, Kuwait believes it has taught the world a lesson on how to deal with terror. But this was a limited victory with the hijackers going free. And this small, vulnerable country knows that this is a battle it may have to fight again. Mark Phillips, CBS News, Kuwait.
Aides President Reagan said tonight the United States is reviewing now its rules of engagement in the Persian Gulf. A spokesman said President Reagan loosened those rules during Monday's clashes with Iran to allow U.S. forces to respond to any hostile acts, not just attacks on U.S. targets. That policy is still in effect, but under review. The U.S. Navy has given up the search for a Marine helicopter and its 2 crewmen missing in action in the Persian Gulf. Iran claims it shot down the chopper during Monday's battles in the Gulf, but the U.S. says it has no actual evidence of that. Also in Monday's battles, Iran fired missiles at a U.S. Navy frigate. Officers and crewmen aboard the ship said they were Chinese-made Silkworm missiles. But now the Pentagon is saying it can't confirm what type of missiles were fired. Richard Wagner has more on this from the Gulf.
It was hoped that pictures taken aboard the U.S. Navy missile frigate Jack Williams would answer the Silkworm question, but they didn't. The videotape, made available today, shows U.S. Navy warships firing missiles at Iranian targets during the confrontation on Monday in the southern Gulf.
This is a warning. Stop and abandon ship. I intend to sink you. Over.
Then the Jack Williams came under attack by an Iranian missile. The ship's crew had no doubt that the incoming missile was a silkworm. The frigate took evasive action and fired strips of aluminum chaff into the air to confuse the missile's radar homing system. The crew watched anxiously, but no missile, silkworm or any other type, came near the Jack Williams. The pool reporter aboard said that 5 silkworm missiles were fired at the American flotilla, but all missed their targets. The Pentagon says it can't confirm silkworms were fired at U.S. Navy ships last Monday, and for its part, Iran is saying nothing. Whatever missiles it shot 2 days ago didn't hit anything. Richard Wagner, CBS News, in the Gulf.
Israeli soldiers shot and killed a Palestinian in the Gaza Strip today as they fought to put down protests against the assassination of a PLO leader. A hit squad gunned down the victim, known as Abu Jihad, at his home in Tunis last week. The Tunisian government and Israeli sources say Israel carried out the assassination. The Israeli government has been silent. The funeral in Syria today turned into a huge PLO rally. Anthony Mason is there.
It was meant to be a formal procession, but at the edge of Syria's largest Palestinian refugee camp, thousands surged past Syrian guards, lifted the casket from the carriage, and carried it away on their shoulders. He was one of the founders of the movement to lead them back to their homeland. Through 3 miles of Palestinian neighborhoods, Abu Jihad's coffin was showered with flowers. Abu Jihad had warned his family he would die by assassination. His wife watched him as he was gunned down by what are believed to have been Israeli agents. His son vowed revenge.
We will always fight. We will never stop. We are fighting now and we will keep on fighting.
Amongst the many factions of the divided PLO, Abu Jihad was widely respected and able to bring rivals together. In his death, he did that again today. Representatives of every PLO faction linked arms behind the casket of the man who'd orchestrated the uprising in the Israeli-occupied territories.
Israeli leaders thought that by killing Abu Jihad, they can put an end. But they will discover that they are mistaken.
Always a hero to the Palestinians, Abu Jihad is now a martyr as well. We are still bleeding, one of the mourners cried out. Abu Jihad is in all of us. Anthony Mason, CBS News, Damascus.
Now about politics. Michael Dukakis, the big breakthrough. The big dilemma, what role for Jesse Jackson? Jackson now hinting that he has earned and wants to be offered perhaps the vice presidency. Dukakis emerges from the pivotal New York primary a solid frontrunner and strengthened as the likely Democratic presidential nominee. Way down third place Al Gore is expected to get out of the race officially tomorrow. Jesse Jackson rolled up a respectable second place in New York and continues to add to his loyal following and hundreds of delegates. At last count in last night's Vermont caucuses, Jackson has a razor's edge lead over Dukakis. Dukakis now, of course, is positioning himself for victory next week in the Pennsylvania primary and beyond. CBS News chief political correspondent Bruce Morton begins our coverage tonight of the Democrats' dilemma and Michael Dukakis, the frontrunner who's walking tall on a tightrope.
Last night in Pennsylvania, Michael Dukakis, the easy winner in New York, sounded like a man already running against George Bush.
This fall, George Bush is going to be judged by a Republican legacy of more red ink than all of the administrations from George Washington to Jimmy Carter combined.
Jesse Jackson, the loser, conceded today he needs in Pennsylvania to do better with whites.
Obviously, a part of my challenge is to expand, to get more whites involved in supporting my campaign. But the reverse of that is true relative to the caucus as well.
He needs more blacks and sounds like a candidate who knows that.
I'm going to reach out to everybody, and I'm going to work hard to unite our party and to unite our people.
How will that play in Pennsylvania? This ought to be Dukakis' country. It's an old state, and he does well with seniors. Philadelphia is prosperous, but western Pennsylvania has idle mills and people out of work. Dukakis' jobs message should play well. The state has fewer blacks than New York and lots of ethnics.
Lots of ethnics here, and they are fascinated with the fact that Mike Dukakis, his parents weren't born in the United States, and it has been a big drawing card for him here.
Dukakis now, I think, is just going to widen the margin here and probably move on to Ohio and West Virginia to do the same.
Dukakis for president, would you mind holding a moment?
At Dukakis headquarters here today, phones were ringing off the hook, but staffers were also insisting it's not over. The fat lady hasn't sung.
People who have been working very hard and getting 3 hours sleep a night to do the election now will only get 2 hours sleep because they're a little more energized.
Jackson's hopes here probably depend on labor.
Can the Jackson campaign pull off another Michigan miracle? I think there's a possibility for that to happen.
So Jackson came to a labor rally here this afternoon, hoping the blue-collar appeal that worked in Michigan can work again. It's uphill. He does not have delegates in every district. And the race now seems Dukakis to lose. His campaign can spend time courting superdelegates, planning convention strategy. We are not, one staffer explained, fighting for survival every Tuesday anymore. Bruce Morton, CBS News, Philadelphia.
After lapsing last night into a depression over his loss in New York, Jesse Jackson recovered his spirits and began sowing an "I'm for what's good for the party" message.
I want to play a role in helping to make that victory possible.
Non-threatening, Jackson talks of helping beat George Bush. But his campaign manager is sending other signals that Jackson should be offered the vice presidential slot.
If Mike Dukakis is on top of this ticket, he's going to need somebody that's going to be able to rouse these crowds and get people out to vote.
Did you also expect to be offered a spot on the ticket?
I have no comment on that. Thank you.
While Democratic leaders fret about this, focus groups have found that blacks are surprisingly resigned to Jackson's not being on the ticket.
If that was the outcome, I guess we're going to have to accept that.
I know he's not going to win, but I think it's nice that he's running for, president,
I'm voting Democrats. I'm going that way, so...
No matter who?
No matter who.
But despite that man-on-the-street attitude, a movement is building among Jackson activists.
You hear the Jackson for vice president talk among black leaders in Washington, among the black congressional caucus. The view is that a platform's not enough, that if Jesse Jackson in fact comes in second in delegates, then he ought to be on the ticket.
If the Democrats want the White House back in '88, they must put a Southerner on the ticket.
Burl Anthony, chairman of the Congressional Campaign Committee, has already publicly endorsed Senator Sam Nunn for vice president. He says the Democrats will lose if Jackson's on the ticket.
I think if you take the two most liberal members of the candidates, Dukakis Jackson, then it makes it the least winnable ticket.
I wouldn't rule anything in or out at this point, Joe. I think it's much too early. I've got a nomination to win.
Dukakis is dodging the issue, and no wonder. CBS News, New York Times exit poll showed 64% of his supporters in New York have an unfavorable opinion of Jackson. Dan?
Thank you, Leslie. And still to come on tonight's CBS Evening News, Rita Braver on alcoholism before the bar, who pays to treat drunkenness, and correspondent John Blackstone on the drying of the West. Is the water running out?
You can see the dream of success in the eyes of people all across America. At Citicorp, we understand the dream. That's why, as Citicorp and Citibank, we've become America's largest financial services organization, already helping 1 in every 5 American families, with more home mortgages, more student loans, more MasterCard and Visa cards than any other company. We'd like you to get to know us better. Citicorp, because Americans want to succeed, not just survive.
This man once had a heart attack. Since then, his doctor prescribed exercise, the right foods, and aspirin. Studies show aspirin can help prevent second heart attacks. Ask your doctor about aspirin. Bayer, the wonder drug that works wonders.
Look at that streaking. Guess I used the wrong stain.
You did. Only Thompson's Water Seal stain contains Thompson's Water Seal. It protects the color in the wood better than the leading brand.
With Water Seal stain, the next time won't be for a long time.
Thompson's Water Seal stain.
Hey, isn't this Canon's new personal zoom copier?
No, it's the Queen Mary.
The zoom feature really magnifies my image.
Or cuts you down to size.
And Canon replaceable cartridges sure make it easy to maintain. Like my other PCs.
Well, have you come to praise the PC-7 or to buy it?
Listen, Canon's personal zoom copier is the newest star in my family.
Guess you can't pick your relatives.
Personal copiers for every personality. only from Canon.
New setbacks tonight for U.S. Attorney General Edwin Meese's attempt to portray himself and the Justice Department as still able to take care of business. White House correspondent Bill Plant has the latest on the Meese mess and reaction from President Reagan's inner circle.
That were particularly distressing to
the embattled Attorney General lost another round as his hastily appointed candidate for the #2 job at the Justice Department withdrew from consideration. St. Louis Attorney John Shepard said in a statement today he was not prepared for the pressures to which someone recommended for this position at this time would be subjected. Since Meese picked Shepard, there have been reports on his membership in 2 private clubs. One excludes women, the other has no black members. There were also allegations by a former employee of an affair, which Shepard denies.
I think it was just this constant spate of publicity. I think he obviously had not anticipated that.
Justice Department sources say Shepard was also concerned about putting his own reputation on the line in light of the Attorney General's legal problems, which caused top Deputy Arnold Burns to resign in the first place. Shepard's decision to withdraw means the job remains vacant, and 5 of Burns' 6 top associates have decided to leave as well. Still, Meese insists that everything's running smoothly.
That the fact that these members are leaving the department has not interfered with or hindered in any way our operations. It has not affected the overall performance of the department.
But Meese's many critics say that's nonsense.
When you see everybody leaving the ship, you might think maybe the ship's going to go down. And that's what's happening at the Justice Department today. The ship is going down.
Officials say Meese doesn't have another candidate for the job. Even his friends describe the selection process as one screw-up after the next. And at the White House, the staff attitude is hands off, because that's what Meese's old friend, the president, has ordered. Bill Plant, CBS News, the White House.
In Utah today, more than 1 million pounds of rocket fuel fired up for a key test of the redesigned Space Shuttle rocket boosters.
3, 2, 1, fire.
Flaws were built in deliberately today to test whether the boosters would leak as they did when Challenger exploded 2 years ago. Results are crucial to NASA's plans to launch Shuttle Discovery this August. By the way, tomorrow night's 48 Hours takes a close-up look inside NASA's struggle to get the U.S. manned space program back off the ground. 48 Hours from Disaster to Discovery airs tomorrow night at 8/7 Central Time. The U.S. Air Force today took some of the wraps off one of its most secret projects. It released a drawing of the secret stealth bomber that's supposed to be invisible to enemy radar. No details on what's inside this flying wing.
Like to see how your cereals stack up to total?
Lovely idea.
To get the vitamins in 1 bowl of total, it takes almost 3 bowls of Special K.
Pass the old brand, Gloria.
Takes 4 bowls of that.
That's why I like shredded wheat.
Then you'll have to eat 12 bowls.
You better loosen your girdle, Margaret.
Total has 100% of 9 vitamins and iron and is rich in calcium. That's a stack of nutrition.
In just 1 bowl.
And for the most nutritious cornflakes, try Total Cornflakes with twice the vitamin nutrition of Kellogg's.
This is the all-new Oldsmobile Cutlass Supreme. And this is the new Cutlass Supreme game going on right now. Game brochures are at your Oldsmobile dealer or participating McDonald's. Understand so far? Good. Play the Cutlass Supreme game. You could win an all-new Cutlass Supreme SL or $1,000 in cash. And you'll get a coupon for cash back on a new Cutlass Supreme. Game pieces are at your Olds dealer. You should go there. Any question? Good.
When it comes to buying a laxative, I would buy Dulcolax.
Mary Goldie talks about Dulcolax.
It's predictable. It's very gentle.
Dulcolax, tablets and suppositories.
I would not use anything but Dulcolax because it works.
Folks, if you wear dentures and smoke like my pal Bob, you've got to try my Smoker's Polydent. Its super strength cleans tough tobacco stains, while its minty mouthwash ingredient freshens up dentures. Try Smoker's Polydent. The soap for people who smoke.
A U.S. Supreme Court ruling today on whether the government must treat alcoholics as people suffering from a disease. CBS News law correspondent Rita Braver reports the Supreme Court's answer is no.
Eugene Traynor and James McKelvey. Both veterans, both alcoholics now on the wagon. Today, the Supreme Court said the government has the right to term their alcoholism willful misconduct rather than a disability. The court said the two men were not entitled to the same extension of their GI education benefits that's granted to other veterans suffering from a physical or mental disorder.
I was so disappointed, overwhelmed, and I guess angry at first.
In today's opinion, Justice Byron White pointed out that the court was not ruling on whether alcoholism is a disease. He said the court was merely stating that the federal law banning discrimination against the handicapped does not require the VA to treat it as one. And today's decision further fuels an old controversy. The American Medical Association has officially designated alcoholism a disease for some 30 years.
I'm Jason Robards, and I'm alcoholic. I thought only losers became alcoholics. Then I learned it's a disease that could have killed me.
But a number of researchers insist it's a question of willpower.
To become an alcoholic requires an accumulation of choices and behaviors over years and decades. It is not true that an alcoholic is born.
Proponents of the disease theory call today's decision a major setback for alcoholics.
It pushes them into that hopelessness and despair that I am a bad person, I'm defective.
We're obligated to be sure that not only are we taking care of the veteran, but we take care of the interest of the taxpayers of the nation also.
Behind all this concern is the question of money. If the veterans had won today, the government, as well as other employers, could have been hit with a new wave of disability claims by alcoholic employees. Now that the veterans have lost, however, some alcohol treatment providers worry that insurers will try to cut services for alcoholics. Rita Braver, CBS News at the Supreme Court.
Heartburn again.
Yeah.
You're going to sit there and suffer? You're going to take something?
What do you have?
Riopan Plus 2. It's double strength.
I hope it works fast.
How fast can you get to the medicine cabinet?
In lab tests, Riopan Plus 2 starts neutralizing acid in 10 seconds, and 1 teaspoon neutralizes more acid than 2 teaspoons of regular Maalox or Mylanta. That's twice as strong.
You look better.
You want to go out for a banana split?
You're kidding.
Riopan Plus 2, the fast antacid.
What are you doing at Dow these days, Peggy?
Well, right now I'm working in agricultural research, Grandpa. We're trying to help farmers find new ways to make every dollar work harder.
We want to keep this farm in the family a few more generations.
Pretty tough, isn't it?
You bet. So your dad and brother are going to need all the help they can get.
And you can make a difference in what tomorrow brings.
I won't let you down.
'Cause Dow lets you do great things.
Introducing A1 poultry sauce with herbs, spices, and fruit, meant just for chicken. So A1 poultry sauce makes the most of chicken any way you make it.
Shh. Listen to your mouth. That's the crunchy texture of a Triscuit. And that's the delicious whole wheat taste of a Triscuit. They're made to take on any topping or no topping. Listen to your mouth. Triscuit.
The government today reported its most widely used measure of inflation took the biggest jump in more than a year. For the month of March, the Labor Department called the Consumer Price Index climb 0.5%. Leading the way was a record 2% increase in clothing costs, but food and transportation prices also rose. Analysts said today's report, combined with an earlier rise in wholesale prices, indicates inflation may be around the corner. A big storm off the California coast today spread drenching rain and thunderstorms over much of the state. But officials said that isn't expected to bring appreciable relief to parched conditions that have troubled the area for months. Responding to the threat, Los Angeles Mayor Tom Bradley today urged the city council to ask residents to cut water consumption by some 10%. But the dry spell already is heating up the inflation threat signaled by today's consumer prices report. Correspondent John Blackstone explains.
For the second year in a row, most of the West is dry and hot and worried.
We felt there was less than 1 chance in 100 that this year would be as dry as last year. And now we think it will be even drier.
In Idaho, there have already been dust storms. In Washington's Yakima Valley, farmers are drilling in search of new water sources. Irrigation available for this year's apple crop may be only 1/3 normal. Much of the West depends on the mountain snowpack for water. But this year, the runoff will be too meager to fill the reservoirs. At this reservoir in California's Central Valley, the level has dropped so low that even at the end of the dock, the water is still 100 yards away. For their warning, California cattle ranchers look at the grass.
It should be at least a foot high, and now you can see the growth out there. If it's 2 inches, it's good.
Ranchers are selling off early, thinning herds they might not be able to feed this summer.
Eventually, it's going to probably cause a shortage of cattle and higher prices to the consumer.
But more worrying are long-term indications the state of California may be outgrowing its water supply.
It's a semi-arid environment, and we should be living our lives accordingly.
But most of California lives as if water is plentiful. The Los Angeles Water District serves 14 million people with water piped from 350 miles away.
The jobs here are attracting people. We're facing increases of 400,000 new people each year, all of whom want to use water.
People in the San Francisco area have been ordered to cut water use by at least 25% this summer. At public meetings, agonizing has already begun.
I think that people who use excess water should be very severely penalized.
Last year, the western states had the worst fire season in a decade. This year, fires could be even more destructive. But forest fires are part of nature. Much of the well-watered landscape in the western states is not. With reservoirs running empty, this drought year may be a reminder that in much of the West, one thing that should not flow like water is water. John Blackstone, CBS News, Tuolumne County, California.
And that's the CBS Evening News. Dan Rather. See you tomorrow. Good night.
Suddenly, homes all across America are opening. They're opening for Coldwell Banker's annual Spring Open House celebration. More homes than ever before, so you're sure to find the one that's right for you. Just call your nearest Coldwell Banker office. But hurry, spring doesn't last forever, and neither does our open house celebration. Coldwell Banker, expect the best. A member of the Sears Financial Network.
Welcome to another round of Name That Cereal. Fruit and fiber cereal tastes so good, you forget the fiber. Are you ready?
Yes. Sweet and chewy dates, fat raisins, meaty walnuts, crisp light flakes.
All right, name that cereal.
I know. It's fruit and fruit.
Oh, sorry. It's post-fruit and fiber cereal packed with delicious fruit and high-fiber flakes. Tastes so good, you forget the fiber.
Lucky for this diver, he has a thin, powerful seal. So thin it's virtually airtight. So powerful it even holds up to pressure. No, it's not on this diver's mask. The seal is on his dentures. Extra Hold Fast Teeth has a seal so thin yet so powerful, it's virtually airtight. For a hold that's closer to real than any ordinary adhesive, Extra Hold Fast Teeth, the Extra Hold seal that's closer to real.
I'm Kathleen Sullivan.
And I'm Harry Smith. Tomorrow, actress Jennifer O'Neill.
And Friday, we'll visit Tom Poston in his home, plus Joan Van Ark Friday on CBS This Morning.
This is CBS.
Coming up on Eyewitness News tonight, the end of Al Gore's presidential campaign.